this is Brandon from Watches on You. We're back again at Wixon Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're again reviewing a very, very special watch. This is the Patek Philippe 5980 in rose gold. It's a very, very special watch. Let's drop down to the inspection pad and get a closer look at this piece. Alright, so now let's take a closer look at the 5980. So starting off with the case, as you can see, this watch is completely made out of rose gold, and that makes it very, very heavy. Although the bracelet is pretty compact, and that actually sort of reduces the weight a little bit, which I kind of appreciate. Again, it's all solid gold, so it's very, very high quality still, even though it's a little bit thinner, but it's a very heavy watch. It has a lot of wrist presence. I mean, but it's beautifully designed. I mean, the Harold Henta case, we've sort of been on a spree of Harold Henta designed watches lately, but I think out of all the ones we've reviewed, this one's perhaps my favorite. Not just because it's solid gold, I just really like the chronograph and how it has some of those little extra features that make it all that more special. So let's actually jump right into the chronograph feature, and that is perhaps the party piece of this watch. It has sort of the most unique aspect of this watch is that the chronograph hours and minute hands are located at this subdial at 6 o'clock, which sort of reduces how crowded the dial is, and I really, really like that, because you'll see some chronographs tend to have very crowded dials because they got the hour second hand, they have all the different, or the hours subdial, the minutes subdial, and sometimes like a running second subdial, and it just gets all too crowded. But this one definitely avoids that and sort of makes it a little bit more classy in that it doesn't need to show off that it's a chronograph. So actually, let's demonstrate the chronograph feature here. So you push that top button just like a normal chronograph, but one special feature of this is that it's actually a flyback chronograph. So if you hit the bottom button, it'll just quickly reset and just keep going, hence flyback. It's for split times, and it is a really, really nice feature of the chronograph. It's definitely a special chronograph. I think the only other flyback chronograph we've ever reviewed was the Breguet Type 20, and this is basically in a whole nother league. I mean, it's a Patek Philippe, it's beautifully made, and if you recall, I wasn't actually too impressed with the quality of that watch, but I definitely am impressed with the quality of this watch. So I'll just reset that the chronograph here, and this is sort of the permanent reset where you hit the top button and then hit the bottom button, and as you see, it doesn't keep going like it did with the flyback feature. So the rest of the dial, it's sort of a gray gradient dial, which I think looks really, really cool. All Nautiluses pretty much have that. It's just a really cool, fun thing to look at. I think most Harold Henta designed watches sort of have that dial, like the Audemars Piguet Royal Oaks have the special pantograph machined dials, and this has that gradient. It's all, I just really like that design feature and how he chose to make each watch sort of unique in its dial and all that. So moving on to the other probably most important aspect of this watch is the case back, and you can see that beautiful Patek Philippe chronograph movement, and forgive the shrink wrapping there, but you can still see most of it. So you have the Geneva striping and the perlage around the center of the rotor. It's just a very, very beautifully made movement, and all Patek Philippe's movements are, if you've seen our other videos, of this high quality. It's just wonderful. So moving on to the bracelet, as I said, it's actually pretty thin for like a solid gold bracelet, but that's actually a good thing because it doesn't make it super heavy. Like the Submariner solid gold tends to be really heavy on the wrist, but I kind of like how this bracelet's actually pretty unique compared with other Harold Henta bracelets in that it actually has a polished center link, and I really like, again, each of his watches are pretty similar, but they're all unique. The watches designed by Harold Henta, the Royal Oak and all that, they're pretty similar in that they have the polished bezel here and all that, but each of them has little distinct features, like the bracelet, the dial, as I mentioned, and all that, that just make it a very, very cool watch. Make all his watches very, very cool and desirable. So let's actually move on to a wrist shot. And it's got a very, very high quality clasp that's easy to put on and take off. I really like how they did that. For actually a double deployant sort of clasp like that, this is pretty easy to put on. If you've seen our previous videos and some other watches, they're not as easy to put on as this, and I really like how they did that. This is very, very comfortable on the wrist. Like all Patek Philippe watches are, I'd say the contributing factor that is like most significant about why this watch is so comfortable is that the links are very, very small, so they're able to fit around your wrist really, really easily. It's sort of similar to some of the dress Rolexes where they have those really thin links, and again, it just fits around your wrist really, really easily. So all in all, this is a very, very, very well-made watch. It's extremely, extremely high quality. Everything about it is very artful and beautiful. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe and share. Thank you.